Hello, everyone, and welcome. In this recording, I'm going to be speaking about this upcoming full moon that we have in the sign of Cancer on the 26th or 27th of December 2023, depending on where you are on the planet, of course. Now, in my location, it takes place on the 27th. This is why on the screen you can see that it's on the 27th of December. And this full moon takes place at around 4 degrees and 58 minutes, so almost 5 degrees of the sign of Cancer, which means that the sun illuminates it from the very same degree from the sign of Capricorn. Now, this full moon is going to be quite potent, not just because the moon is exactly in the sign that she rules, the sign of Cancer, a sign where she's able to bring out her highest qualities in that much stronger with a really, really strong light. But also at the same time, this full moon, more than one way, is receiving a lot of empowerment or blessing basically from other planets. So this makes it very benevolent, if we can even call it that way. But of course, like with any full moon, it will represent a culmination, a completion, a termination perhaps, or in the most common cases, something being highlighted, the light of inner soul clarity, especially in the sign of Aries, affecting at least one area of life, and collectively, externally, so to speak, we're definitely going to be seeing signs of compassion, solidarity, uh, people being really, really kind to one another, playing out on the world stage, and this will influence, things in that sense for the better, of course. Now, the first thing we have to look at with this full moon is the moon's trine with Saturn. Saturn being at 2 degrees and 49 minutes of the sign of Pisces. So it's quite a close trine, quite powerful. And this I find really, really beautiful. Well, why? Because on one hand, Saturn is that principle which adds stability, which adds a concrete element, a realism to everything that it touches, basically, especially when it converses with another planet in a supremely harmonious way. Well, Saturn comes with a concrete, real, applicable, um, how should I say, fortitude. It comes with a blessing that makes an energy which otherwise could be just an emotion, compassion, love, solidarity, unity, feeling other people just like they would be family, and of course, any kind of connection with family, your place of birth, your nation, nationality, your culture, and the past in this sense is perfectly included in this picture. So we already can identify a strong possibility of how this is playing out on the world stage, but also in our individual lives, like family karma, but in the best, in the most, blessed way possible, playing out, delivering something to us, making us feel safe, making us feel found, making us feel like we belong somewhere. This energy can also be about healing because Saturn and in the sign of Pisces going still through its shadow path. So it really, really brings a completion to the past, and in the Pisces, in the sign of Pisces, even the long distance past from childhood, even, if we want to look at it from a deeply spiritual perspective, even from past lives, that's also possible. But chances are we are going to be feeling this very personally. So something comes to help us. It can be something which is as subjective, as ethereal as a feeling, but even if it's just a feeling, that feeling leads us, gives us the strength for something concrete, something solid, or a strong karmic energy of a culmination of something that was started in the past, a work, a sacrifice, a completion, in some cases even termination, the ending of something, because Pisces is the sign of finalities as well, but that can be in the most delightful way. Like, back to healing, something heals, we forgive, we understand, we come to terms with the past, we come to terms with family, with, it's so very many things. So this is definitely something really, really beautiful. And Saturn, in from a more alchemical perspective, is the manifester. So something is allowed to made manifest, which is really, really good news. And the other positive energy here is that Saturn at this moment is already pretty tightly conjunct a fixed star named Fomalhaut, which is the representative of the Archangel Gabriel. So spirituality, the metaphysical properties of the water element, and feelings and deep faith. So all of this is really, really beautiful because it can give us wisdom, Fomalhaut. It can give us knowledge of what we are transmuting within us, and how that leads to power, or how that leads to a personal strength, the amplification of a personal virtue, for example. So I really, really love this trine with Saturn. It is both healing, it is both, helpful because it gives us a solid strength, a stability, something we can trust. And we will need that soul level empowerment very, very strongly, because at the time of this full moon, it's not all just, pink. It's also a little bit of, gray, because on one hand, Mars is tightly conjunct Mercury retrograde at the moment of this full moon. So Mars is very strong in a fire sign, Sagittarius. So it is its quickest and most intense self, amplifying, or better said, combusting Mercury. So the planet of communication, the planet of thought, the planet of the flow, in which direction, at which speed do things flow, do things travel, do things circulate. It rules the media, it rules our own inner communication, the lower mind, the mental sphere. So Mars means that it's time for action, it's time to do things, it's time to express, it's time to speak. But the problem is that both of these planets hold a conversation of tension, a square, with Neptune, planet of illusion, deception, lies, the not so, let's say, favorable and light side of the Maya, of the grand illusion. But because Mercury is retrograde, and because Mars is also involved in this configuration, so Mars is the principle of action, the war, the fight, the reaction. We are fighting for truth, Neptune, by figuring things out with the help of our highest, most possible understanding and sense of logic, which of course applies to faith. What do we believe in? What great principles and big truths guide our lives? Because everything, the core of everything, real things, concrete things, emotional things, spiritual, everything basically, truly in the most literal sense, everything has its core in our belief. Because, like, why is 1 plus 1 2? One might come up with the Gemini expression of this energy, trying to explain to me mathematics and how to count my fingers, one finger plus another finger, what does that equal? That's the very Gemini take of this energy. But the Sagittarian take is, well, these two fingers add up to two because I believe in it. I accept that truth, if you know what I mean. So basically, the core of everything is our acceptance, our belief. What we believe is the reality, what we get. And this Mars and Mercury conjunction, Mercury combusted, so it is determined to solve everything it needs to solve that is brought up by the Mercury retrograde. And the phase of this Mercury retrograde, where the things brought up, what they mean in faith, in principle, in worldview, in justice, our own unique sense of justice, and our own truth. So we are actually at the very, let's say, deepest part of this Mercury retrograde, especially because this square between Mercury and Neptune is exact. Very strong, very powerful. And Mars is coming to complete its square. So this is very, very highlighted. This is where we cannot shake this. But the blessings that this full moon brings, because Neptune is in Pisces, but so is Saturn. And Saturn is the grounding principle, the stability principle, the backbone. Saturn determines what it can allow to manifest and what must be contained only in the realm of fantasy Pisces, in the dream world, in the ether, so to speak. So this helps us fight for our truth, fight for our justice, see through illusions, speak the best words possible, the most healing words, or to know the value of silence. And silence is going to be difficult under Mercury combusted. Silence and to bite our tongues is going to be very, very, very hard because this energy is reactive. It is where we respond to provocations. Sagittarius, strongly opinionated. And that opinion is faith and truth for the person. So it can't even be contested. Yet it will, especially on the world stage. So on the world stage, collectively speaking, externally speaking, it's very obvious that this is going to be the debate of laws and action towards doing something, you know, Mars in Sagittarius. But we must not forget that both Sagittarius and Pisces have something in common. Faith, but in different ways, religious ways as well. So you can imagine that this can represent also very powerful religious debate, philosophical debate, principle debate, and debate about law and justice and the power of the law. So yes, that's definitely part. But individually speaking, what does this truth and what is our sense of justice for us personally? Which principles, which elements of faith can we keep within ourselves and integrate it, and which needs to be purged out? And the purge, I'm going to get to that just a little bit later on, is also part of this picture. Yet with the Saturn moon trine and another trine, which I'm going to be speaking about after this, make it healing, make it I don't necessarily want to say pleasant, but they do act like an anesthetic. They do give us power, motivation, and resilience, especially in Pisces. Psychological fortitude and resilience, the best expression. But other energy that complements this, the sun, main luminary, illuminating the full moon, so very important, holds a trine with Jupiter, And the sun's trine with Jupiter. Jupiter is in the sign of Taurus. So embodied faith. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So what does this have to do with Sagittarius? The fact that Mars and Mercury, the mind, the emotion may be in Cancer moon. So we may have to use our emotional intelligence the most. Yet still, a vast majority of life has to be brainstormed at this moment strongly. And Mercury is really uncomfortable, the mind. So we'll need the anesthetic. Because the mind is going to be under great pressure. Neptune, what is true and what is not true. And it can also represent like an overflow, an excess, feeling flooded, drowning in information, international especially, like a Sagittarius, that we don't want in our lives anymore because it tortures us basically. But Mars says that we still need to be aware of what's happening, because I'm not just referring to the war alone. I'm referring to what's happening in our local communities, what's happening in our country. Because Mars in Sagittarius means laws are changing, rules are changing, modus operandi are changing, international diplomatic relationships are changing. What do you agree with and what not? Referendums. So, and strong battles on the political stage. This is already the expression of Capricorn, but Pluto, an erratic Pluto in Capricorn. So the battle, the heat of the battle politically is on. And Neptune, to convince you to ... you have to fill in the dots with what's happening in your country, your, your environment. But something is happening, and one actor on the stage or another one is hell-bent on convincing you. But again, the wisdom here is to follow your truth. Hence, Sun trine Jupiter. You feel it in your gut, Taurus. Okay, Taurus doesn't rule the gut, but physically you feel it. Your senses tell you what the truth is. You are, how should I say, the sun in Capricorn. You see the natural hierarchy or the natural relation or correlation between different things in your life personally. For example, the natural correlation and the hierarchy. Who it is that has a really good effect on your life, and whose advice or Capricorn instructions, orders, rules is it, let's say, wise to follow, beneficiary to follow, and what it is that you must do the opposite way. Not to follow and exclude from your life. This may be a person within your job, good boss, bad boss. It really, really illuminates and sorry, helps us see the healthy power dynamics in everything. So power dynamics means hierarchy, but it also means what it is that we should integrate in our lives and use it for our, personal manifestation, in the sense that how do we influence quite personally everything around us. And when I say manifestation, I didn't mean it in the esoteric or the magic way. I actually meant it. Everyone influences reality around them in so very many ways, and that is actually Capricorn. That is the highlight of Capricorn in our charts. That's the Capricorn power. So the Sun trine Jupiter, we feel it, we understand it, we resonate. And the opposite, everything that should not be part of us is not natural, Taurus for us, will, how should I say, not resonate, but strongly, as in it will almost feel like a rejection. This feeling, ultimately, the wisdom of our feeling helps us greatly at this moment. Apart from this complex breakdown of this energy, this is in itself fortunate, materially speaking, even generous. Because Capricorn, Sun in Capricorn, let's say you want to truly leave an imprint in someone's life in the present through a gesture. Well, you get out of your way to surprise them, or for, let's say, for the holiday seasons, you get them something so custom fitted for them that the effect is going to be there. You impress them. The spirit of generosity is expressed maximally. So you can imagine that will have a great impact on the person. And the material side, or the effort that you put into it, is not going to matter at all. It is just the way to getting to the soul of the person. It will be the soul who will delight in this. Hence the full moon. So a very, very beautiful energy. And this Jupiter trine Sun can be favorable in so very many other ways. Concretely, materially, receiving material help, receiving gifts. Being generous, of course, is part of this picture, because when I say receiving, usually I mean vice versa. Because when we receive, we also give. And it is really good for tapping into your healthiest values, your most resonance values, those values which are the most natural to you. And in the moon in the sign of Cancer, those which you inherited from family, from your culture, the very, very best that it's in you, and you carry it genetically or in tradition or in any other way. It's part of who you are, and you're part of it. So finding our roots, and the Sun trine Jupiter in this Earth trine can, in a way, represent exactly that. Finally finding our roots, or our roots blessing us in a very real and noticeable way, because it's an Earth trine. There can be so very many hidden treasures found within our roots, in the family, in so very many ways, genetically, talents, life lessons, wisdom, love, good examples, but also community, also your culture. Because, no one is really born in a specific culture and everything that comes with it, race and place in the world and physical characteristics that are, linked to a certain race, etc., etc. Those are not coincidental. You resonate, you're on a soul level before you were born. You either needed those or resonated with those, or they come as a reward, and a reward that you accepted, or you belong to that soul line which runs in the family, etc., etc. So a lot of those things are not coincidental. And under such a full moon, we truly learn to appreciate that deeply, and to see the value, Jupiter, in it, to see the value of the inheritance that either family line, culture, tradition, etc., have left us. But at the same time, this is 100% true in the cases where you were embraced or you embraced the culture and you're part of it now. In that case, there is no difference that you didn't come necessarily from there. You receive the blessings of belonging there now. So this is really positive in every case. Because I know that there are so very many people who simply didn't resonate with the culture they were born in, and they migrated. They embraced another one. No problem with it. Maybe you're a really lucky individual, Jupiter, and you receive both blessings. That which you have genetically, karmically, that which you embraced. So yeah. Another really beautiful energy that is taking place at the time of this full moon, even though that this energy is in vain, so waning, becoming weaker, yet it's operational. It's Neptune. Yeah, Neptune, because Neptune is involved here, trine Venus in the sign of Scorpio. Neptune being at 25 degrees and Venus at, well, 26, almost 27 degrees, but still an operational trine. How very beautiful. Because Venus is Neptune's lower octave, or vice versa. Neptune is Venus's higher octave. So both of these planets do have, in their own way, to do with love, with desire, with fantasy, with art, with the spirit. Now, you may ask, well, how is Venus the spirit? Well, this is where love, everyone, even total atheists, even people who are 99% mental sphere built, even they love something. And that love is a strange feeling which is mysterious, inexplicable. So even Venus has her Neptunian qualities, if that makes sense. But of course, Neptune is very powerful here because it's home in Pisces. Venus is in exile, so she's not very powerful, but she is very, very, I'm not even sure which term to use. She really means business in Scorpio. She has her needs and she wants them now. But anyway, this is a really beautiful alchemical trine. Let me give you examples, because this energy perhaps is best translated in examples. When exactly we come to terms with the past. Venus trine Neptune, we embrace the past. It no longer hurts us. It no longer unsettles us. We no longer feel that things are unfinished. This can be a healing energy of self-worth, of inner values. Scorpio is a very strong instinctual and primal sign. So even like healing of self-image, if that kind of makes sense. Accepting one's physical body, anything of this nature. Sexual healing without a doubt is part of this energy. Forgiveness, everything that the retrogrades until not so long ago. So basically, until in November, at the beginning of November, we still had a lot of retrogrades. So around that period, everything that by then, all the retrogrades brought up. And we must not forget that we had Venus retrograde as well. And there was a moment when Venus retrograde coincided with Mercury retrograde this autumn. So that had to bring up a lot of things. And it is those things that we worked on healing, resolving. This can very well be a financial energy. Even though Neptune does not necessarily suggest that, but Scorpio sure does. So Scorpio can be debt, the relief that we feel that we have eliminated any kind of debt from our lives. Very well can go for karmic debt. So this is an energy where we feel that we are all more than all right with something. This is the energy of acceptance, of calming down, of integrating. So this, as well as I said earlier, can have so much to do with healing. And look, speaking about healing, at the time of this full moon, if you look at Chiron, you see, especially here, oh, here, there is an RS. So it is standing still in the sky. It is preparing to stand still and go direct. So Chiron, exactly at the time of this full moon, is emphasized. So, and healing in itself is so very much Cancer energy. Like, for example, people who are, let's say, nurses, care for others, care workers, uh, how you um how you say that, midwives, kindergarten teachers, care, those who offer care usually have strong placements in Cancer, or their fourth house is highlighted, or both fourth house and Cancer have important elements in them. Mars, for example, yeah, debilitated Mars, but very good to offer care. This is just an example. So, of course, this goes hand in hand with healing. Venus, speaking about Venus, we're still at Venus, is sextiling Scorpios, where she's in Scorpio, ruling planet Pluto at this moment. Transformative alchemical energy. And Pluto is there for the final time in our incarnations. In our lifetimes. So this is where we have to make use of this alchemical energy. The sextile between Venus and Scorpio and Pluto and Capricorn simply means getting what we want, getting what we need by working with our intelligence, first of all, Scorpio, our true values, knowing what our true values are, Venus, knowing what we can sacrifice and what we can't, again, Venus in the sign of Scorpio, to evaluate emotionally what we are capable and what we are not, and then taking, of course, the action. This is really, really good for negotiations and financial stuff, business stuff, work stuff. Very, very good for that. But another thing before I don't forget, I know there is a lot of trines and beautiful energy and all of that. Yet Mercury square Neptune, flooding, the destructive element of water. So that can be part of the game. And we may see that play out on the world stage, water. And Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius, again, it may disrupt transport, especially aviation. So that can be part of the game. And now I came to the moment where I would really like to speak about the Sabian symbol of this full moon, where that 4 to 5 degrees of the sign of Cancer says an automobile, like a car, wrecked by a train. Now, you might think to yourself that, well, that doesn't sound very positive or very okay. How can this be really a good news? Well, this is just symbolic. The auto vehicle, the automobile, represents the individual. The train, a symbol of public transport, represents the collective. Cancer represents the unity of the collective. So this energy says that one cannot really go against the collective. So the collective emotion kind of is all encompassing, if that even makes sense. Let me give you an example. there are certain individuals who are born very, very brave, who are born with a very strong initiation power, very motivated, driven, self-driven. I'm not saying in a selfish or egoistic way, but they're very, very intense. But many times these individuals will have a certain goal in their lives, a want, a desire, or a challenge that they just can't overcome, or, you know, and they try hard and hard and hard. And when they get to a, I don't know, counselor or astrologer or whatever, they very quickly come to face with the fact that what they were doing wrong is that their drive went against the world. Their flow, or what they wanted to do or accomplish, was the opposite flow of the world. No matter who you are, you cannot go against the collective, or at least not expect triumph. So, in a very, very positive way, this means that what the people feel, what the people hold as truth, has to be the greater truth, and the truth and the law and whatever that triumphs. So this kind of means that the power is in the hands of the people, in the hands of the collective, in the hands of interhuman connections, but which go much way beyond race and interests and personal games. Cancer, basically. So that means what people want is how reality has to play out ultimately, eventually. Because the train, the train will come and sweep everything that blocks it. So this can be a really good energy in the sense of the collective international context, let's say, because everyone wants peace and etc. etc. But on the other hand, this can also, remember, it's a full moon, so it's like a completion. This is where some people will finally, it will dawn to them where they belong. The Sabian symbol in that sense, the car was swept away. The car means that they were, let's say, split from the collective, in the sense that they didn't belong anywhere. They didn't feel a belonging. They felt lost. They felt alone. They didn't find themselves in anything, so no connections. So their only choice was just to be on their individual lostness, if that makes sense. But the train comes, and let's ignore the destruction, the wreck part. Let's just look at it, the fact that there is no more car. So the collective integrate. So finding where you belong to, whatever this means to you, and however, in which way this is applicable in your life. So it's really, really beautiful. Alignment. Going, and yeah, exactly. Sun in the sign of Capricorn. Realigning with your life path, with your destiny path, with your destiny line, or how you call that. This is such a good energy for realignment, where that Saturn in Pisces, this is strong water energy, washes you where you need to be. Sun trine Jupiter gives you the boost, the resilience, the optimism, the luck, the blessing, the divine, or any kind of help. The Mars and Mercury squaring Neptune come with the challenge that you do need to protect your truth from external pollutants, let's say like that. You do need to embody your belief against Sun trine Jupiter. And then the Venus trine Neptune. The divine is there guiding you each step on the way, and you can trust where your gut, where your instincts, and where ultimately your heart lead you. So this can be a really beautiful moment of inner clarity, when external clarity is definitely in the midst of the fog. External clarity is not accessible, let's say it like that. But if inner clarity, if knowing, let's say, ourselves and everything that is part of the self from within strongly, well, that can be all the inner compass that we need. And finally, another energy that I really, really find beautiful is that at the time of the full moon, where again the sun uh, trines Jupiter, well, Jupiter isn't alone, because Jupiter at this time is conjunct with White Moon Selena. White Moon Selena is not real. She's a fictional planet, let's say, and she represents, the white moon, the very, very highest expression of our soul. All the beauty, all the magic, the power of love, the power of the wisdom and the benevolence of the soul, greatly expanded by Jupiter and in the sign of Taurus, embodied our five senses, present in nature. The magic within nature is that much more powerful, but we're part of nature. So magic within us, our senses, is also that much more powerful. Trining the sun. How absolute. And there, this is the sun itself isn't alone in the sky, because it's with uh, also fictional planet Cupid. So that's so beautiful in so very many ways. And this sun trine Cupid means that basically everything is your partner in life. I don't necessarily want to mean romantic partner, but everything in life can be seen as a certain kind of partner where its reflection comes as a blessing. Though what you give to the world and others, but by attitude, you get back. You bless the world and everything in it, that blessing returns to you. And that highlights and delights the soul. So this is a one energy which makes this full moon that much more beautiful. And White Moon Selena with Jupiter sextile the moon, the real moon. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So, and of course, Saturn sextile the sun. So these sextiles, not just the trines, make this energy that much more beautiful. And finally, the last thing I would like to mention is that at the time of this full moon, Pluto holds a trine with Sedna, both at 29 degrees, Earth signs, Pluto, Capricorn, Sedna, Taurus, the power of sacrifice, the power of following one's own truth to the maximum. So this is definitely another element that will empower this full moon in the sign of Cancer. So I would like to leave it at this. Thank you so very much for listening. Thank you for all the love and all the support. If you'd like to support my work, you can donate on the PayPal link in the description below. With this being said, wishing everyone blessed winter holidays, a very, very happy new year that comes very shortly after this full moon. And of course, have an absolutely magical Cancer full moon. Until next time, bye for now.